Kyle here from allmediareviews.blogspot.com. It's Friday. I haven't only done one other video this week, another Marillion. I'm doing another Marillion album today. Largely because a few factors. My wife and I could do a separate video about this. We had a stray, not really a stray cat, but a lost cat, you could say, and we reunited the cat with its owner. But we're kind of heartbroken about it still. It's the nicest, sweetest cat. But that was definitely occupying some of my time, and then just some stuff with work and just not being able to catch up. And I also dealt with a kidney stone. Unfortunately, I deal with kidney stones, but this one was not fun. So yeah, interesting week. So but I am in the process of getting ready to do the Reign of Kindo, and then, like I said, I plan to do after the Reign of Kindo the Deer Hunter, I think, and then some others, probably some videos on some of the other, I don't know, like, I mean, some other one or two off, a lot of different obscure bands, but then more of the big names like the Mars Volta and Coheed and Cambria. And I might just going over my collections again to an extent with some of the favorites I did years ago, Fate's Warning and Dredge and I don't know, Ocean Size. I don't know if I'll do that again. I don't know. I'll have to kind of case by case basis. You know, and Marillion I can announce, well, there's a few things coming out. Pepe Deluxe is coming out, I'm still looking forward to, and what's the other one? I mean, there's a new Dream Theater album coming out. Between the Buried and Me and Sculpture. Sculpture is another one I want to do a video on because I have their whole collection. The new album I'm getting on vinyl, but it's not going to come till next month. But I'll definitely want to do a video and talk about the new album, The Liminal Phase. And I've been listening to Between the Buried and Me album, Colors 2, and probably we'll have to do a video on them too. But next week I'm on PTO, so I'll have more time likely next week, so I may be able to do multiple videos in each day. Anyway, enough babbling about that. So Somewhere Else is the Marillion album for today. Came out on April 9th, 2007. So yeah, I guess this is an album that it came out, you know, myself and many fans, here's what that looks like. Many fans listened to it, of course. I mean, it was a big deal to come out in 2007. It was following, you know, one of the biggest records of their career. This glossy book that came with in Marbles in 2004. It was the follow-up, and so naturally it was, you know, there were pretty high expectations for it. I don't even remember if I pre-ordered it. I might have, after the not pre-ordering Marbles, being so down about that. But I'll say this, it's probably, might be my least listened to Marillion album. This, or there's one or two others, but, and the thing I associate it with, it came out April 9th, 2007, the last page. 2007 was an interesting time, interesting year in the spring of 2007 specifically, winter and spring. I was obsessed with a few different albums. Caddisfly Set Sail to the Prairie I'd been listening to for like 8 months and just obsessed with, and that came out the previous month. Fair to Midland was about to come out. There's a couple others. Anyway, that 2007 year had a lot of stuff I was anticipating. There was a new Dream Theater album coming out. There was, in progressive rock, Rush, if I'm not mistaken. That was the year that Snakes and Arrows came out. It was going to be coming out. But then another one specifically I think of was Porcupine Tree's album, Fear of a Blank Planet. And I think that came out like the month before. It came out and maybe in March, or maybe it would come out that same week. All I know is that album was a huge letdown for me musically, and maybe even more so the way the lyrics and then the subject matter and the lyrics with the music gave it this sort of downer kind of downtrodden kind of, you know, just there was not a lot to pull for from the tone and the lyrics. And while it was maybe more on the nose, more in the face, more overt with Fear of a Blank Planet, this album gave me a kind of a similar impression at points. And that was part of the reason why I was like, so, like, Marillion and Porcupine Tree were two of my favorite bands at that point. I mean, the previous two Porcupine Tree albums I had loved. Well, previous three, actually. And Marbles, and Nanarachnophobia and .com. But especially Marbles, it's like, this is the follow-up to Marbles. I mean, it's a little bit like Afraid of Sunlight and Brave, but Afraid of Sunlight was nearly as good as Brave in some people's minds, in my taste. I wasn't around quite then when that happened, but so I did listen to it and I was just like, this is different than Marbles. And the other thing about it was very different. It sounds like, listening to it again today, it's been the first time I listened to it probably in many years. It could be almost 10 years. They used a lot of textures, a lot of more organic, almost acoustic moments in this, but they experimented. It sounds very Radiohead influenced. Now, granted, a lot of their albums sound very Radiohead influenced. And I'll fully admit, I'm not a Radiohead fan, but I can appreciate what Radiohead did in terms of experimentation and what they influenced bands like Marillion, even though Marillion's much older than them. But in a good way, because I like Steve Hogarth as a singer. I don't like Tom York as a singer. So, and I also remember after not loving it that much, there were a few tracks here that I did like, and I said, well, the record as a whole, but there's a few moments, and that wasn't that unusual for some other records for me that I've come to kind of grow on and enjoy more. So I would say the two best songs, well, yeah, I mean the two best songs in the four-track sequence from the title track all the way, and voice. I'll show you this. And I forgot to mention, I'm going to mention Marillion's new album, but I just want to get into the whole breakdown of Somewhere Else right now. Because they did announce the new album title finally today on Friday, September 3rd. But the title track, Somewhere Else, Voice from the Past, No Such Thing in the Wound. Those all do something. They're all very good in a lot of respects. Even though Voice from the Past, that's some of the lyrics, some of the sort of downtrodden kind of lyrics. I mean, it's kind of thinking about society, the planet, cultures, and at that point, that was the middle of like the Iraq War and all this stuff, or Afghanistan, we're talking about that now. There's a lot of things that were going on that were not great in the world, and technology, but also the environment. I don't know if that was around the time that Al Gore's documentary about the environment came out. It may have been a little bit after that. I can't remember. Anyway, it was definitely drawing upon sort of lack of hope and interest in the future. The record that followed this, of course, Happiness is the Road. Well, had some lyrics a little bit like that. Was a little more uplifting, but so those four tracks are my go-tos. I mean, the title track and Voice from the Past both have these great builds and crescendos, and the ending they work. I think it's No Such Thing has these kind of interesting vocal effects. I'm thinking about kind of like the Kid A, Radiohead Kid A, around that time, and they weren't the only ones using those vocal effects. A little bit Imogen Heap. This is the same year that. This came out a couple years after Speak for Yourself, but maybe they're Imogen Heap fans. I don't know. Maybe Hogarth was. So the other tracks, I mean, the first four songs, the other half, See It Like a Baby, Thank You Wherever You Are, and Most Toys. Most Toys is honestly one of the most not forgettable, the least enjoyable Marillion songs ever. I mean, it's not overtly awful to listen to. It just doesn't do anything for me. It's a pop. It's an attempt. It's like third-rate pop trying to do it. They did, I think, something. What was it? Whatever Is Wrong with You was poppy, but that worked. And some of the stuff on Marbles, actually, I don't know. See It Like a Baby, I remember thinking was just kind of half-assed, but I actually now listen to it again. I've grown to like that a little bit. It's not bad. It's just, On the other half, just kind of, they're not throwaways, but it sounds more like acoustic. It's this in some ways. This is like their acoustic album, and it's more stripped down, way more stripped down than Marbles. Most of it, although Marbles has a few songs that are more acoustic, but as a whole, the last track, Faith, I do like. I remember they played that live, or even released. I think they played it live, so we knew that was going to be on this album a year or two before the record came out. So. But yeah, Somewhere Else, the thing I also find is that this CD, for some reason, that just this CD, and I don't know if it probably was pressed on vinyl. Someday I might get it, but I've seen this CD almost countless times. I did at half-price books in the Twin Cities here. I thought about just getting maybe another copy. I probably should. I mean, I don't know, but I would constantly see it, and a lot of them are shrink wraps, like they weren't even opened. But the thing about it is, like, Somewhere Else, it's like you see the little, it's one of these like viewer things that you see like on a cape or like on a dock, or in a sightseeing kind of near an ocean or a river or lake, for sightseeing or for viewing in the distance, like binoculars kind of thing. I mean, this looks like a cover that would be more uplifting. Maybe it's kind of like thinking, well, we've kind of ruined the earth. We got somewhere else we're gonna go. I don't know. It's a little contrasting in that the tone of the album lyrically, a lot of it at least, not all of it, but a lot of it, comes across kind of like bleak in a way, but not melancholy and sympathetic bleak, but just kind of downer in a way. And yet this is maybe a little optimistic. You're kind of looking out to go somewhere else, I don't know. Anyway, Somewhere Else, it's not a bad record. Like I said, those 4 tracks in the middle all are some of the better music, all songs that would stack up against, especially like the 2, Somewhere Else, the title track, and Voice from the Past. I'd put those among the better tracks the Marillion's released the last 20 years, for sure. And I think they're overlooked. Voice from the Past, I think they have played. Somewhere Else, maybe. I mean, they don't play songs from this record live that much, because I think Marbles, of course, the records before Marbles, and even some of the records after it, they think they probably have stayed up and had more staying power for the band. I'm not sure. But, a little bit like Radiation and even Holidays in Eden to an extent. Maybe this record got kind of shelved by a lot of fans and even the band, and maybe over some time, some of it, especially those like the 4 tracks that I really like. Last Century for Man, I'm not so sure about, but those 4 tracks may find a second or third life, and it's like, we did some good things on that record. A lot of people look at a lot of the Pink Floyd records I like Obscured by Clouds and Atom Heart Mother. The More soundtrack that way too. Like at the time, they were just dismissed. But yet, 20, 30 years later, a lot of second, third generation Pink Floyd fans, like myself, have become big fans of them, even though they're kind of underrated. So, but I was just going to mention one more thing about Marillion. They announced the name of their record. They were giving I announced on Monday the initials, or the letters of each first word of each word in the album title, and of course my internet's not working. Let's see here, but my computer was just not working. I should hit refresh. It was like AHID. I may have to just pause my recording so I can get this up, because I was going to announce it. I did read what it was, but I don't want to get it wrong. Yeah, I think I'm going to do that. Oh, yeah. Alright, so I need to get a Wi-Fi extender. Hopefully that'll solve my problems with this. The new Marillion album, AHBID, which there are literally hundreds of guesses. Some people got pretty close. I don't know if anyone actually got it right and got the free tickets for that tour that's coming up in November. One of the shows that's coming up in November. But assuming they happen, Delta variant and stuff doesn't impact that. But AHBID stands for An Hour Before It's Dark. It is dark, or it's dark. So, yeah, interesting title. 2022 likely. I don't know, it'll be early, like, maybe it'll be April, maybe it'll be earlier than that, maybe it'll be like February. But that I don't know. I wonder if it's an hour long. I wonder don't know if there's any connection, but probably maybe not. I was just thinking the last Marillion album, Fear, was 2016, so it's gonna be 6 years. I don't think they've, not even close. The longest gap I think they had between albums was 4 years. So, as they get older and someday they're gonna probably retire. So yeah, that's an hour before it's dark. When I get more details, maybe I'll talk about that too. I'm still waiting on the announcement on the Shaman of the True vinyl because Marillion and Kevin Gilbert. So anyway, that's my my take on Somewhere Else, the 2007 album from Marillion. Came out in April 2007. But I got 4 more of these left, I believe. So, giving them off all next week. I'll hopefully be able to wrap it up and then make at least one more additional video. Yeah. One more, I'll do a separate video. At least one more just with rankings. Not to really harp on all the details of them, but, all 18 of them, I have to, round them up and everything. This whole process. I've tried to consolidate as many as I can, but yeah, 4 more, so 5, in effect 5 more Marillion videos, and then I can finally move on. But like I said, I might do the same with the Deer Hunter. I think Kindo's is going to be one video, but with the Deer Hunter, I might do a separate video for each record, because there's an important enough band to me, it kind of makes sense. But anyway, thank you for watching. What's your take on Somewhere Else? Marillion fans, do you think it's one of the worst records? Do you think it's underrated? Has it aged better, or is it just a forgotten record? But I'd love to hear. Thanks for watching. See you next time.